preparing to play against whoever they put out there, and very, very well aware of those two players.
How does that impact the way you kind of
Not
scout
really.
for each other?
No, I mean, Coach McElwain and his offensive staff do a great job, and they've always played a lot of receivers, they've always played a lot of backs, and they probably have as much question at the quarterback position too. So I mean, we watch both those guys. We watched in the summertime. We watched Zaire from Notre Dame, and he went into this game in a difficult situation because they were a little bit behind. But he and Franks are both very, very talented, and they're good players. They're a scary team, to me, because I think they certainly have talent at most every offensive position.
Bob, what would you rate maybe setting the edge to the first couple games, knowing that the Georgia Tech game was a challenge? But how do you feel like your ends and corners have set the edge on sideline to sideline type runs, wide runs?
Well, yesterday, if it's the question is about, like a lot of people asked about sweeps in the game the other day. I mean, the game plan specifically against Indiana State was not to let them, to keep the box intact with the Mike, the Will, and the Sam linebacker have all their keys and reads the same all the time, and let them run to the perimeter. Not let them, but if there was going to be a weakness, it was going to be to run to the perimeter, knowing that we were the faster team and could chase things down. In a game like Georgia Tech or a game against Florida, you may structure your defense a little bit differently. So that was, specifically for that particular game plan. They didn't have a run over 12 yards in the game, and we held them under 3.3 yards a rush, and like I said, 7 points and 200 yards. So, we did what we needed to do to win that particular game. In that situation, we'd have a very different game plan to get ready for Florida.
Are you looking forward to being more aggressive and maybe playing more of your style of defense after having two unusual offenses with two unusual game plans?
I think the players are. Certainly it was very unorthodox. To get back to the things maybe you practice on a more daily basis. I mean, Georgia Tech certainly requires you not to change your defense, but I mean to play a specific set of calls. And a team like this, like I said, is the exact same way. It's in many, many, many ways, I mean, Indiana State was as unorthodox and intricate an offense as Georgia Tech. And it was a good opportunity for us to go out there and play against it, because LSU runs a similar style offense. That's who they, in their off-season, researched. Matter of fact, they did very, very few plays that they did when they were at the previous place, and they did very, very few plays that they did even in the opening game. They changed significantly from game 1 to game 2.
Last year against Florida, I think in the second half, your defense forced them 3 and out on 7 of the 8 possessions. How different is Florida's offense from what you saw the second half of last year? Is it a whole new scheme, or is there a lot of similarities and carryover?
No, I think there's a lot of carryover. I mean, they're an 11 and 12 personnel team, which means they have 11 personnel means 1 back, 1 wide receiver. Or excuse me, 1 back, 3 wide receivers, and 1 tight end. They're a 12 personnel team where they have 1 back, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, and they have a lot of formations, and they're very, very well coached. I mean, we just studied a lot of their third down stuff today, and I think out of the X amount of snaps we watched, there was almost just as many formations. So they shift, trade, motion, they do all those things. And last year, I think our guys, in that particular game, I thought our guys in the second half settled in a little bit better and played better. But they certainly have skill at the wide out. Early in the game, we gave up a couple long passes, and that put us behind the 8 ball to start with, and we really had to battle back. And they played pretty well in the second half.
Sorry. Bob, as a coach, Bob, what's it been like to watch Kyle kind of evolve?
Yeah.
Having one of his better games last week.
Yeah, he was our player of the game on defense. Kyle Phillips was, and Kyle's, it's really, you guys all probably have gotten to know him a little bit. He's hard not to like. I mean, he's a local kid who came in highly, with big accolades out of high school. And not that it's his time now. He's battled the injury situation, which has probably prevented him from maybe reaching his fullest potential. But in the last 2 games, he's played pretty good. And I've said all along, I really feel like between him and Taylor and Combo, we have 3 pretty good DNs. And to see DeAndre Johnson get a sack and a strip, ball disruption the other day was positive. So that we need all those guys.
Whenever you snap a streak like Tennessee did against Florida last year, do you think there is confidence that carries over to the next year?
I don't know. I mean, I think I know. I don't know if it's confidence, but there's a sense of urgency. The practice yesterday was our best practice of the year. I mean, they came out, they were spirited, they were excited. I think it's an SEC game. It's the next game, and all we've challenged the guys to do is go 1-0 each week, and so I mean, I think the players are very, very excited for this opportunity. I think they respect Florida and their offensive scheme and their offensive coaches a lot, but they're looking forward to this challenge.
When you look at a guy like Batuli, obviously any of us can watch the film and see that after the snap the guy's really active and running around and making plays. What about the things that maybe coaches would notice more? Is he doing what he needs to do in those areas too, in terms of lining up, getting in the
much better? Yep. Oh yeah, definitely. And he's earned, I think, the trust and respect of his teammates and his coaches. And again, he's a guy who maybe a little bit. I always use Warrior and Congo as the examples, but he's a guy I know everybody wanted to see on the field last year at different times because he's a local guy and he's a great person. And he probably wasn't ready. I mean, he did his role on special teams and he had a few shining moments on defense. And then, really kind of the injury bug hurt him in the spring and summer, and he wasn't able to do some of the things to take that next step. And so, honestly, going into the Georgia Tech game, he was the backup to Austin Smith as of last Wednesday. And then when Austin went down, he took advantage of his opportunity, and 2 games in, arguably is the most productive player on the defense. And he's going to have a big role in this game.
But Bob, because of that, does that allow you to play the 4-3 and be more multiple, in order to get him involved? Because I know a year ago in this game, I think you played 4-2-5 the entire game. Does his emergence allow you to be more creative and multiple?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's played the Sam in the base personnel, and he's going to play the Mike in the nickel personnel. And keep in mind, sometimes if he's in the game, that means Rashawn Golden's in the game. And then next week you're going to ask me about why Rashawn Golden isn't in the game. So I mean,
that's what I'm saying. But being able to play 3 linebackers, which you did not have the ability to do last year.
I wouldn't say we didn't have the ability to do it. I mean, coaches are always trying to put the best 11 players on the field for what the situation calls for. And some, there are times that it works and times that it doesn't. But I promise you, I mean, there's no hidden agenda or politics involved. It's just trying to put your players in the position that they, as individuals and the unit as a group, can be successful.
Final question.
Playing 2 non-traditional offenses to start, do you see that as a disadvantage going into this week?
No. Football's football, and the guys got to play football, and they got to play snaps, in a big-time environment in Atlanta, and in front of a Vol Nation, last Saturday. We're 2-0, so I think from that perspective, there's a lot of confidence. But it's not a disadvantage. But the truth of the matter is that I don't know that any of us can truly answer, how good are you? I mean, we're excited to be 2-0, but the rest of the SEC East is 2-0 besides Missouri and Florida. So I mean, everybody's playing early season games and winnable games and things like that. I was really proud of the style of play against Georgia Tech, and probably a little sloppier against Indiana State than I liked. But like I said, they came out with focus and drive yesterday, and hopefully have a good week of practice and get ready to go down to Gainesville and compete hard.
All right, thank you.